Chapter 42. Through the process of broadening the perspective of the human experience, it becomes easier to identify with the task of changing the intended future experience by returning the controlling focus to the beings evolving originally on this planet. Each unit of awareness that incarnates, experiences in a body, on this planet identifies with the past genetic history of that body as passed on by all the previous progenitors. This then carries with it the right of sovereign ownership of this planet, not as an individual, but as an individual part of the family of humanity. It takes little review of the past history of royal families to see the pattern of behavior that is present within that segment of the mass conscious memory. The review of history in light of the influence of those governing directly or in manipulating the members of humanity that were chosen to fulfill that role points vividly to greed, deceit, and treachery as standard operating procedure. Indeed, there is little of enduring value to be gained in repeating the experience of humanity in this past chapter of planetary history other than to create a deep and abiding desire to transcend it into a totally new pattern of evolvement. This is not to indicate that there has not been a great deal of progress and much experienced into wisdom. It is meant to indicate that all that is practically possible to learn has been gleaned, and it is prudent to release the need to continue and to move on to a more rewarding pattern of experience. As the consciousness shifts to allow a more encompassing view of the human experience, a different way of perceiving the content of the mass consciousness allows the observer to more easily perceive and acknowledge the influences at work that are deliberately programming the overall attitudes and opinions that shape it. The observer begins to separate from those influences and to recognize them as being forced on those that would not knowingly choose them by outsiders of another nature with a different pattern and focus. This recognition then leads to a choice as to whether to purposely continue within this pattern or to separate from it in purposeful intention to bring about a change for the whole of the planetary experience. To attempt to separate and maintain an individual focus accomplishes little of value, whereas joining a larger focus of intent to change the planetary experience offers a solution of enough value to incite a commitment. As has been mentioned before, a change of individual expression does little to change the experience of others, while a planetary change will affect all individual experiences within its scope. These messages continue to follow a theme of clarifying the current situation with its probable continuity for humanity in a downward spiral of experience into abject slavery and the intended destruction of the soul energy that is the focus that places and holds the spark of life within each body. That spark is experienced as individual self-awareness. Stripping this aspect of life from the human expression would return it to the animal state and to what is thought to be an ideal slave archetype. That is the simplest explanation of the planned future. The greatest problem is the desire of the controllers to retain a percentage of intelligence that is linked to the self-aware state. Thus, experiments and continual testing go on to determine what techniques of mind control and physical adaptability can bring about this ideal prototype. It is hoped that this planned scenario that awaits those who continue to accept the indoctrination, the vaccinations, the regimentation, and the subordination of their will to powers outside themselves is now vividly envisioned by those who read and accept the possibility that the content of these messages contains truth. It is hoped that the logical sense of bringing about change by a method not anticipated by those that intend to control this planet and its population is clear. It is possible to change the experience by conscious choice and by deliberate intention through aligning that intention with the basic laws of the universe. These bring about deliberate empowerment by allowing the law of attraction to release requested help to assist rather than to rescue. At the basis of this plan is the essential change in the perception of the situation at hand and the change in consciousness from victim to responsible creator of a new paradigm of experience. Releasing all of this into the flow of creative expression is the desire that all happen for the highest and best good of all concerned. It must be understood that this is not to be intended for beleaguered mankind only, but all that are involved in the entire scenario, whether they appear to be of positive or negative intent. Within that desire to encompass the greatest possible change in experience lies the greatest possible empowerment for transformation in the galactic experience. It is a moment in this segment of galactic history that is unprecedented. It carries with it unparalleled opportunities for evolvement to those who have the desire and the commitment to become an active participant in this shift in consciousness. It is hoped that many will be able to change their perspective and to encompass the possibilities that are available to contemplate. To knowingly be an active participant in this opportunity is even more phenomenal. Consider this opportunity carefully. Chapter 43. The process of lifting the mass consciousness out of its long-standing morass of controlled attitudes and thoughts concerning what it is necessary to experience as a human is progressing toward a shift in focus. It is necessary that there be formed what might be called an enlightened or knowledgeable nucleus. These messages are intended to serve that purpose. As these are read and reread, those that resonate with the information contained within them form a pivotal core for the attraction of greater numbers to join the growing momentum toward the creation of the new paradigm of experience. To desire change is one level of involvement, but to desire change within a feasible format that is based upon a logical sequence that allows for a group consensus of agreement brings about a momentum that has within it the promise of success. As the momentum begins to build within this focused core of belief in the success of the process that is now well initiated, it is not experienced by these same individuals, seeing the actual results for those are and will continue to be unknown from a practical sense. It will be experienced instead as an inner knowingness that all is working exactly according to plan. Though mankind has long sought to observe and control as many aspects as is possible within their life experience, in this case it is known from the beginning that it is necessary to trust the process that permits the law of allowance the scope to manifest what is invoked through the law of purposeful intention, deliberate intention to create. It is necessary to understand that in order for an intended creation to manifest, it must be allowed to manifest. This happens through holding the intention firmly in intellective view in the full faith and anticipation that it is already in energetic thought form and deliberately drawing to itself the molecular experiential format that will allow it to come into perceivable reality. Embracing the laws of the universe as a viable method of bringing a new paradigm of experience to this planet and its inhabitants requires focusing committed intention through the understanding and application of the interacting sequence of the principles involved. These laws have been introduced in their most basic formats along with simple explanations of both the sequential and interacting processes that allow them to serve as a purposeful vehicle of creation. The laws are responsive to intention and thus are often, if not most of the time, operating from a perspective of default, meaning they are manifesting whatever is being held in focus by any and all thought held in place. Thus those whose thoughts are on poverty and lack are creating within their experience more poverty and lack. Thoughts on victimhood are drawing more experiences of victimhood. Thoughts of hatred and revenge bring experiences of being hated and of vengeance. Focus on wanting particular experiences or things brings more wanting, not the manifestation of the objects of the wanting. Thoughts of appreciation of abundance, happiness, and joy bring more of those. It all depends upon the perspective of the focusing conscious awareness. The laws are real and the results they bring forth when properly applied are real. The doubt that arises during the linear sequence of time that is experienced between the invocation of purposeful intent and the manifestation into realized experience is the trap. Manifestation between energetic thought formation of the matrix to the realizable experience varies with the quality of purposeful thought that is held in place during this interim. The quality is influenced greatly by the emotional excitement that is contained in the anticipation with which the event is awaited. Though emotional support is experienced periodically, it is difficult to maintain the necessary level of anticipation through knowing the matrix is indeed drawing to it the required condensing energy to bring about completion. Thus, it serves the process to have multiple foci contributing to the thought pool that is holding the pattern in place. Here again, it is the generally understood desire for a new paradigm of experience that is the organizing force fueled by the input of contributory data to support this desire from myriad points of view. The focused energy input within a delineated pattern that is defined within a process in harmony with the outflow of universal expression moves through manifestation with a maximum of efficiency. By funneling the thought energies through an agreed-upon organizing focus, a dynamic is established that elicits an attractive force that brings to the process more thought energies that in turn adds further empowerment to all phases. Thus it is seen to build upon itself because it is acting in harmony with the creative outflow of potentiality, which can be understood to be energy that is yet without purpose or form. This unformatted energy is more quickly imprinted with the desired expression. It is not necessary to break down or reformat energy already imprinted. Since the law of allowance is free to ascertain the most appropriate combination of available essential elements that will benefit the whole, manifestation is within a harmonious flow. It is to be remembered that all manifestation that is attempted that is contrary to the creative flow that maintains the whole must of necessity be held tightly in focus within carefully delineated guidelines. All elements must be contained within the preset guidelines and error factors must be reviewed and corrections carefully made for any deviations. A monumental difference is experienced between the release of a free flow of energy set into motion within universal harmonious guidelines and the focus required to direct those that deviate from that flow. The laws working together freely have available self-direction within the process, utilizing wisdom that is beyond comprehension. That is a decided advantage in the birthing of the new paradigm. End chapter 43.